Thank you very much. Thruk 3, yeah, it's hard to pronounce. We should have skipped version 3 and directly had to version 4, I guess. But now it's like that, so let's see what we get. This is me. I'm working for Console for more like 20 years now, and yeah, as you already said, I'm part of several monitoring-related projects like Thruk, obviously, but I'm also part of Niemann, ModGearman, the official monitoring plugins, OMD and LMD. So if you have questions to any of those topics, you can come to me later on. Today, I want to show Thruk 3 and quick introduction to for those who are not familiar with Thruk. What is Thruk actually? It's a web UI. It is core independent. It's based on the live status API, which means right now it's compatible with Niemann, Isinga, and Schinken, and hopefully it stays that way. So, but it's one of the few projects which try to keep those separate cores at least connected in some way. Thruk itself is an umbrella monitoring system, so you can basically connect hundreds of backends into a single system and show them all at once. We have customers with millions of services. It works quite well. And Thruk comes with several features like status data, for example, reports, business reports, dashboards, and object configuration. So it has lots of features, and the number one complaint I always get is, yeah, Thruk is nice and it works well, it gets things done, but oh, it's so ugly. It's yeah, that's true. I'm an engineer, not a designer, right? And as long as it gets its things done, I said, well, it's like that, right? But anyway, now we found a sponsor, and they said, hey, okay, let's just redesign it. I can't sell it internally anymore. It just doesn't look like 2022. So luckily we found a sponsor who said we can do that. So thanks Schwarz IT for sponsoring most of the redesign. And yeah, I think it's always best to just jump into the demo, and it's better than looking at screenshots. So let's see if that works. Here it is. It doesn't look that different now. Oh, we can log in. Can make it up. So what you can see already is a new landing page. So the previous start page was just a quite empty page with no additional information. So we tried to put some use on that page, and like I promised in the description of the talk, there's a little bit for everybody. So this is more for the non-engineer. There are a couple of charts and numbers, and not too much into detail. What I find quite nice is to get the number of notifications during the last 24 hours and the current issues. Now, what you can do here is you can define your own views. So you have this default view of all hosts, but you can also create your own view. So if you want to have more than one, we can, let's see, just create one. And we got another one. Actually, the demo is really slow because I have to set up an x86 machine on this notebook with QEMU, and it's horribly slow. So usually it's way faster. Believe me. What we changed as well as the display filters. You will see a button here, and this thing is familiar, but the button is different, and you can change all those filters like you're used to. And yeah. What you can also do is you can rearrange those tabs, because you will see if you if you open the page without any parameters, it will open the first tab. So if you want to have this one first, whenever you click on or whenever you open Thruk, then just put it in front. Yeah, as you can already see, it looks kind of familiar, but kind of different. This time we said, okay, we don't just need another style sheet. We want to redesign really all pages, or at least look at the pages and what is good, what is bad, and what can we improve the user experience as well. Not only just put another style sheet on it and then hopefully that's okay for a couple of more years. So this time we really try to touch each page and redesign it. First thing you might not notice directly is we removed those frames. It's 2022, so there's no place for frames anymore. They did a good job, and it was great for integrating third-party tools like PMP or Grafana, or basically anything else. But it works. It still works, and we don't need frames anymore. And removing frames added a lot of possibilities. For example, we could add more features into the site navigation. The site navigation, due to the limitations of the frames, it was just static and it was there. Now, with this frame thing gone, we can offer multiple variants of site navigation. So you can collapse the navigation and you have more space, for example, on a small notebook. You can, and even for mobile, you can remove it completely and you get this Hoover-like navigation. Of course, we try to make most pages responsive. So if you have a look at this at Thruk with your mobile, it will automatically switch to the smaller navigation. So let's put it back. You can also change the type of navigation here, so you can switch here and have a look at the different variants. What you also can see here is we had to remove all existing themes because they are not compatible with the Tailwind framework we are using. So we had to create new themes. But at least we added a few ones, and we added a dark theme. Yeah, 5 years too late maybe, but still. People like it, people demand a dark theme, and well, with the new framework it was actually quite easy. It's a couple of different colors, and it's really easy to implement. I will show custom themes later if you plan to do something like that yourself. And you can easily switch back and forth and choose the one you like. Yeah, I already mentioned that we made most pages responsive, so we had to remove the mobile interface. It was totally outdated anyway, and we tried to doesn't make sense anymore to maintain two more or less different tools which try to solve the same issue. So there's no mobile interface anymore. This normal Thruk interface should cover all your needs, even on a mobile device. All right. Let's have a look at some other pages. As I said, we tried to make all people happy. We tried to keep the user experience people are used to, but we also tried to have a look if we can improve things. And one of those things was, for example, the paging toolbar. Previously, you had a long list of hosts and services, and it just scrolled down, and after the first page, the paging toolbar was gone, and you couldn't change the number of entries anymore, you couldn't change the display filter anymore, and so on. So now we put everything in a little container, and you can scroll that one. But of course, not all people like that. Me, for example. I like the old school variant better, so we added a button here, and you can switch back to the old behavior, and wow, that's fine for me. But you can, yeah, you can toggle it and see which one is better for you. Again, the common display filters here, and you might already know you can choose different columns for this view. So you can add multiple columns here, and then they will just add it. We tried to improve the user experience, so we made things more obvious. So for example, you can drag and drop those things. So we added at least a little indicator telling you can drag and drop this, because there are so many features in Thruk, but many people don't know them. And yeah, we really try to make things more obvious now. So, all right. You can also drag and drop those columns here, if you like, or double click on them and rename them. So then we have a column renamed. So you can specialize this view to your needs. When you have done this, you probably want to save it because next time you click a link, it's gone. And this is the bookmark feature. It's also not a new thing. You can create a new bookmark and say, oh, this is my view. And you can add this bookmark. Oh, snap, great. But at least it said it has added this. Oh, that worked. But what is new is you can rearrange the bookmarks. That was a long wanted feature as well. So previously those were sticky, and now you can just rearrange those bookmarks, save the changes. Let's see if it works this time. And then the order of those bookmarks changes. Another thing which might be little, but it's quite handy, is we got a new search bar. Basically it's the same one as over here, but since you can collapse the site navigation, you still have this one here, and yeah, it works the same way before, and you can just quickly access your hosts and services. All right, let's have a look at a single host. As I said, we try to have a look at each page and make it a little bit better. So let's see. There's still PMP for Nagios. Why not? It works. It works great. I have a different example as well, because we can do both. Let's see. Let's try. This one looks nice. Integration is the same with Grafana or PMP for Nagios. It's just a little bit slower with Grafana. But yeah, as you can see, there's the graph over here. You can navigate through different time ranges and so on. What's also really a small feature, but quite handy, we added some copy buttons for common things. So for example, it's quite a common task to have to copy the actual command line if you want to reproduce an issue. And well, it's not much, but yeah, you can just copy on a button and it's copied to the clipboard. Yay! And you don't have to fiddle with your mouse and to get the exact command line copy pasted. What we also changed is usually when you wanted to send a command, it always opened a new page, and we changed that, so we just have a simple pop-up now, and it enters. You have to enter the things you like, and then you send the command. But you don't have to go on another page and enter things there, then go back and so on. You can still do that if you open that page in a new tab, then it looks like before, and you have the command description, but you don't have to do that. Also, we try to give people more visual feedback. So for example, if you push this reschedule now button, then you get feedback. Yeah, it's working. It's doing something right now. And we try to do that whatever wherever this is useful. Right, a couple of more things changed. For example, downtimes, pages, and comments. Previously, it was 2 tables, maybe you remember, and it was kind of not really handy because you had host downtimes on top and service downtimes on bottom. And well, it's one thing to have it separated like this, but it had a couple of issues because you basically you couldn't do paging or something like that because you have 2 separate tables. Now we merged everything in a single table, and it's much easier to handle. With a single comment, it's not really. We can add a few more. You may know this feature already. You can just shift-click, select multiple things, and yeah, let's add a downtime here. Let's say, okay. Again, you get some visual feedback that there's something actually happening. You see the added downtime with a comment. You can again click on it. That's also new. You can directly remove it here again, so you don't have to go into this host and remove this host downtime there. You can directly remove it here. But actually, I wanted to show this page. So, like I said, we changed all pages, and so we tried to make things more common. I mean, Thruk came a long way during the last, I guess, more than 10 years now. So each time a new page was added to the tool, it looked a little bit different. So and this time we tried to get it all back into a single design and look and feel and behavior. Yeah, as you can see, no, there's not a single host downtime here. So the host downtime, just the service column would be empty, so you can distinguish between host and services. And also you can just select them and remove them if you like. So let's see. Mind map didn't really change much, but it's still useful if you have a lot of common hosts and services. Wow, that looks nice. One thing, you may know that there are dynamic action menus, so-called, and they are user-defined, additional commands. So you can just add a menu and put additional links in there, and it's totally up to you what you do there. It's basically JavaScript, and you can have a dynamic menu doing a callback when they fetch some host data from the REST API. You can do arbitrary HTML, like for example here you can insert forms and say, okay, I directly send a request to my ticketing system or something like that, or just a simple link. That's up to you. Well, that was possible previously already. It was put into this design here. All right, another feature. There's the core scheduling add-on is an add-on which just tries to visualize how many host checks and service checks your system is doing. And as you can see, here I have 2 sites connected. It will always combine the results from each of those sites into a single view. So, but back to the core scaling figure. It was there already before. Basically, it works the same. But what's new is we added a few statistics here, and they are quite interesting. It tells you how many checks are running right now. It tells you the expected rate of checks, which should be running, at least if it's balanced evenly. Latency, and the interesting thing is the number of concurrent checks. That's the number of how many checks are running at the same time. It's not how many checks are started per second, it's how many checks are running at the same time. And this is basically the number of, for example, Gearman workers you need to at least to configure in in order to get all hosts and services checked in time. I mean, of course, with those rookie numbers, it's not really interesting. But it gives you an idea how large you have to scale your worker setup. And another goodie here is the node control. It's also a module, a new module. This came with Thruk 3. And it's designed for the smaller, mid-sized setup. So you can see both sites I've connected here. They're using different versions, and it gives you a small idea of what type of OS is running there, if it's a virtual system, how many cores and memory and disk it has. But that's not the purpose of this page. The purpose of this page is to make OMD installations even more easier. So you can select the OMD version. By the way, OMD 5.0 has been released 2 hours ago when there was our sweet spot where the Wi-Fi was working. And so this one's released today as well, coming with Thruk 3, of course. And yeah, the idea of this page is you can simply roll out on your nodes the new OMD version. So I can't show it on this notebook right now. There's even a single do everything at once button. It installs OMD, it runs update and cleans up old OMD versions afterwards, and it's all with one click. If you click on a single row, it will update this node. You can even choose this button. It does everything on every node, and then you have a new version. I think that is at least you have to confirm it here. And as a little goodie, you can restart services on your system. So for example, if you want to stop something, you can do it from here. This works on the HTTP API from Thruk. So if you stop Apache, you have the system is disconnected, and it uses Ansible underneath, because so it tries to fall back on SSH. So if SSH is working, you can still start your system again. But if there's no SSH working or running, then you have to start it manually again. So be careful if you stop the Apache. All right. More or less the last page we want to have a look is the event log page. Has been redesigned. There had been a couple of pages doing more or less the same. You had the event log page and you could search for events, but you couldn't actually search for hosts. You could only search for a log pattern. But there was a deep link into the event log page having a host filter. So we combined all those different pages into a single one, and you can do all this here. You have a host filter and a service filter, and all those filters which are useful for log files. All right. I think that's more or less that's it for the demo. Head back for the slides. So yeah, I promised to have a look at custom themes. This was one of the main requirements while redesigning the style sheets, and the design actually was to make it super easy to have custom themes. And that's what a minimal custom themes looked like. Or it could be even smaller, of course. Basically, you import just the basic the base CSS and override colors. All colors you've seen in Thruk are CSS variables. They're like 122, and you can override them if you like, but you don't have to override all of them. Usually you just choose the light or the dark theme and you work on top of it, and then you add a few highlights here and there, like in this example. So we just changed the navigation color and maybe the buttons on top, and as an example you can see here, it really just looks like the light theme. We just changed the logo and the highlighting color, and then most customers are happy already, because they don't want to do sophisticated stuff. They just want to maybe have their corporate colors in there and a new logo, and then that's it. And doing it like this, it's maintainable. Actually, it wasn't before, because you had to look what changes have been done to the CSS, and well, this way you can just import the base theme add some colors on top, and then you're done. Yeah, there are even 2 examples I put on GitHub. So there's a custom theme based on a dark theme and a custom theme based on a light theme, and you can just clone this GitHub repository and, well, adjust the colors to your likings. And there's a README what you have to do if you really want to compile, because Tailwind uses Node and npm, but you only need it once during compile time, and then you have a single CSS file, and you're done. So there's still no Node.js in Thruk. So coming to the end, what's next? There's a small goodie I talked about yesterday. People came to me and say, we have a report and we didn't notice that it isn't running anymore. And well, that's what the Thruk self-check is for. So I wanted to show it here quickly. Thruk self-check is just a command line tool, and it checks a couple of things in Thruk, like are my report running, and are the backends connected, and is everything fine? Are there any errors in the log files? But also it comes with a couple of performance data. So if you add this as a check, you get some nice graphs in addition. And another totally unrelated project it has nothing to do with Thruk 3, but it might be handy. There's a Grafana data source for Thruk. So if you have Grafana running, you can add this data source and do simple queries on the REST API of Thruk. This doesn't do metrics, of course, because there are no metrics in Thruk. But it's handy to get drop-downs filled, for example, with lists of host names or something like that. If you have if you need that input for your for different dashboards, you can do host group, host names, whatever you like. You can do simple queries and put that into drop-downs, for example. That's the main reason for having this Grafana data source. Coming to the end, here are the resources where you can fetch Thruk. Basically, 2 hours ago I released version 3, so you can install and try it out. If you want the slides, they're here. And with that, I say thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Other questions in the audience? I open the floor. Two over there.
Yeah, just one question.
One second, please. I will come over with the microphone. Sorry. Thank you.
Everybody with a question gets a sticker for free.
A simple question. The dashboards, are they stored per user or per installation?
From the main start page, that's per user. Yeah. So everybody can create his own views.
So is it possible to change the default main page?
It should be possible, yes. Basically, it's just a name and a filter, and you couldn't rearrange and change the side menu as you like. So you could just put a different link in there, and then you have a different dashboard for everyone. But yeah, that might be a good idea.
You had one too?
First, thank you for your presentation. There are great visual updates. That looks very good. My question is to the service detail side. It is possible to use a custom variables as columns?
Yes, that's possible. So I have none configured in the demo setup here, but if you have custom variables defined, you have to expose them because they may contain passwords, so they are not exposed by default. You have to add a configuration item saying, okay, I want to expose this custom variable, basically telling it's safe to use and to view, and then it's available as drop down as well, and you can just add it as a different another column. Yeah.
So we got another question here in front.
In the Thruk 2, let's call it, there is possible to make the custom plugins in Perl. And the questions, it would be still possible in track 3, and I assume they will be not backward compatible, so do you plan to prepare some guidelines how to migrate?
Basically, we only changed the design. So everything else still works the same. It's still Perl. There are still Perl modules possible. As you can see, I didn't rewrite all of those. We just changed the design. What you probably have to do is to have at least look at it and adjust a few design issues, because the old themes are not available anymore. They don't work anymore. You have to choose the new one. So, but well, it's an opportunity to make other modules a little bit nicer as well.
Are there other questions? With that, I think we can conclude. Thank you, Sven.
You're welcome. If anybody wants stickers, they're here.
Yourself open, get funky. Yourself open.